You're listening to Top 4, a new series presented by the Game Pitch Podcast.
Join hosts Brandon and Eli as they build gaming Mount Rushmores every week.
Enjoy topics that range from the best multiplayer types to the top bug Pokemon.
Catch fresh episodes of Top 4 every Wednesday on the Project Nerd Network.
And don't miss new episodes of the Game Pitch Podcast, dropping every Monday morning.
Let's get ready to rank. Hello and welcome to the Top 4 and More podcast, brought to you by Game Pitch on the Project Nerd Gaming Network. I'm Eli. I'm joined as always by the beautiful Brandon. Hello, Brandon. How you feeling?
Hey, Elijah. I'm feeling pretty swell. How are you today?
Man, it's one of those days where just like it's the weekend. It's nice to just not have work.
Oh, I know what you're saying for sure.
Saturdays is sacred, my guy.
Saturdays for the boys, and the boys are talking about video games.
They are. If you have not listened to the Top 4 More podcast before, what we do is we rank a variety of video game things. Sometimes Brandon chooses the topic. Other times I choose the topic. We go back and forth from 4 to 1 to reveal our number 1 of that specific topic. And Brandon picked the topic this week. Brandon, walk me through what you picked and why.
Elijah, this week we're going to be talking about top 4 best games that you haven't played, that you have no intention of playing. So the reason that I chose this topic, right? I know it's kind of weird. Just stick with me, track with me here, okay? So we're on the cusp of the next generation of consoles, right?
Yeah.
We're getting news week after week about the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, right? You know how you often say that there's like 10% of your brain that's always focused on like Super Smash Bros, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of me right now with the next generation of consoles. I'm just always thinking about PlayStation 5, always thinking about Series X, always thinking about all the good times that I'm going to have when these consoles hit. I think in order for me to fully be able to invest myself in this next generation, I got to cut through my backlog that I've built up over this generation. And as I was looking at my backlog, as I've been going through them and playing them, I realized there's just no way I'm going to be able to play everything that I want to play, right? There's just too many video games, you know?
Mm-hmm. Way too many.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about, things that are widely considered to be good, but they're just maybe not for me. Maybe I'm just going to spend my time in another way.
So best games. So this is something you know is good, but you're just not going to get to it.
Yeah. Pretty much. All the games that I have on my list are games that are widely considered to be enjoyed by both critics and players. I'm just not going to play them, Elijah.
I'm ready to jump on this, and I think that this is going to be one where we hurt each other's feelings the most, but then also like the fans are like hard out on us. So this I'm glad that this is like 11 episodes into the run, because hopefully they already like us by now for them to be mad at us. And look, it's not about shitting on any specific thing. It's about time. I don't have time to watch all the shows that people tell me are good. I don't have time to watch all the movies that people tell me are good. It's the same thing where there's just no way for me to, if someone's just like, hey man, we've got the biggest open world ever with the most missions. And I'm like, I get it. That sounds awesome. Good for you. But I just do not have the time for that. Tell me, if you got 8 hours of gameplay and it's really tight, focused, and good, I'd love that. Please.
Cool. So yeah, I think we are going to hurt each other's feelings just based on that statement that you just made right there. But Elijah, let's talk about some honorable mentions first. Do you have any?
I have, I think, more honorable mentions than maybe ever, and I'll just go through them really quick. I don't have to really say a ton about these. So not to hurt your feelings, but Crackdown, just not going to get to it.
I respect that.
Red Dead, there's just no chance. Sorry, guys.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, Nier Automata, just nope. I get it. It's good. I've seen some people play it before. It just not. That's not that it's not for me. It's just good. Whatever. It happened.
Cool.
Neo, not going to be one for me. Sekiro, not another one, and then Ghost of Tsushima. And I didn't mean to end with all ninjas, but I did. So.
Got something against ninjas, Elijah?
Look, I've always been a pirates man myself, so pirates over ninjas always.
It's funny that you say Ghost because I'm playing that right now, and you're right. It's probably not for you.
Yeah, it looks pretty. It looks beautiful. I'm sure I'd dig it, but I mean, yeah, if you just want to take a quick little minute, how are you liking Ghost? Because I know that that's something people want to hear about.
Yeah, we'll talk about it pretty in depth. I think if not next week, the week after, just because of the topic that I'm going to be choosing. But I'm really loving it so far. I think it hurt itself a little by coming out after Last of Us 2. I think visually it's just not quite the spectacle that Last of Us was, specifically with like facial animations. I think the environment and like armor and weapons are all designed very well, but cutscenes where people are talking, it just does not look good.
Oh no, that's sad.
Yeah. Gameplay is fun. Love the open world so far. It's freaking massive, dude. This is gonna be a time sink for sure. Controls are okay. They took me some getting used to. At first they felt both too stiff and not tight enough at the same time, but I've adjusted. So, but we'll talk more about Ghost in the future for sure.
Okay, great. Well then, what are your honorable mentions or dishonorable if you have any?
Yeah, so I only have two. Grand Theft Auto 4, just because like I don't understand why people like that game. I really don't. I've played it a little bit in the past, right? And this is coming from like I loved Grand Theft Auto 5. I loved it. But I just don't understand what people liked about Grand Theft Auto 4. I've played previous entries in the series, Vice City or whatever, and 3, right? And every other Grand Theft Auto game that I've played is more fun than Grand Theft Auto 4. I just don't understand why people like that game. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to be offended to people. I'm sorry. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, but there's probably a product of the time when it came out, because when it did come out, it was very impressive. The world it built, how big it was, the voice acting, the comedy, the way that it worked. It was kind of a benchmark at that time. So it does make sense that now that everything has taken what they did and done it better, that it's probably not as engaging or interesting for you. Totally makes sense.
And then just the other honorable mention I have is Marvel's Avengers for the first year, because man, it looks like that game needs some polish.
Thank you, friend. Like, I almost wanted to put on here just like live service games in general, because I don't know of one, and like I'm a BioWare apologist. I root for them so hard, but like Anthem was a mess. And I loved the way that game played. Like, I thought it played so well, but there was just no content there, and they couldn't meet any of the deadlines that they set for themselves. But the same thing has happened with Destiny. I mean, you see all these, delays even for Fortnite and their new season and stuff. And I know, of course, we're in a pandemic, so that changes a lot of stuff. But even pandemic aside, before all that, none of these live service games were meeting any of their benchmarks or releases. Like, I can't think of one that has actually met the promises that they've delivered or, said.
Definitely. I really didn't like Destiny when it first came out, and I just stopped playing it and refused to buy Destiny 2. But that being said, I bought Destiny 2 about 2 years in when they had a lot of content, and I was like, wow, this is a much better experience. I'm glad that I decided to play the game this way. So I agree. Live service games, I think, just aren't where they need to be.
Oh, wait a year. Is that the advice? Wait a year, brah, and it'll be more than worth it. Not only will the game be discounted, but then there'll be all kinds of stuff for you and your buddies to jump into.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait a year at least, and then I'm going to get it.
Brandon, I would make a heavy bet that you will not be waiting a year, and they'll like drop some like specific character, or you'll just see something and you're like, well, damn it, I'm buying that now. Like, I feel it. I'm sorry, buddy.
No, you're probably right. I have very, very poor impulse control.
I don't want to call you a hypocrite, but like, it'll be just like one night and I'll just be like, bro, they dropped Moon Knight, and you'll be like, well, shit, let's go. Or like, I'll be like, Wolverine's in the game. You're like, let's get it. Like,
I'm going to say I'm already playing.
Okay, let's get to your number 4, Fred.
Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, I feel you.
Kind of one of the things that I've been doing, as I said, preparing for the next generation of consoles is I've been going through playing the essentials, right? Trying to play games of the year, exclusives especially. I've been on my PlayStation more this past 6 months than I have the previous 2 years, honestly. And Dragon Age Inquisition was the first game of the year that was released on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, right? It was the first game of the year of this current generation of consoles.
Gotcha.
And the gameplay looks really cool. I played the first Dragon Age. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it enough at the time to play 2 when that one first came out. But I heard nothing but good things about Dragon Age Inquisition. Our mutual friend Andy, he rides for that game, or he did when it first came out at least. It seems like it has really cool concepts. I'm down on dragons in general, but it's just one of those things. I don't have the time for it, man.
I feel that, man. It's one of those things where like the more they say that like there's to do in a game, like, oh, there's all this stuff, like that actually scares me away. Like when they're like, the world's 2 times bigger than it's ever been. I'm like, man, please don't tell me that. Like the next Halo's going to be open world and like God of War. And I'm just going to be so sad because like, no, please. I just wanted 10 hours of Master Chief's story. I know it's going to happen. I'm so sad.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I see what you say. It's funny that you say that specifically about this one, because I know that this one is a hefty boy. I'm looking at it right now. People are saying that they have put anywhere between 150 and 200 hours into this game.
Yeah, hard out, hard no thanks. Can't. I just no, I can't
Yeah.
anymore.
We'll dive into like game links a little bit later for one of my picks specifically. But Elijah, I would love to hear your number 4.
My number 4 is whatever Ubisoft is doing in third person. So it doesn't matter if it's Assassins or Watch Dogs or The Division or Ghost Recon. It's just because I could not be bothered to play these games.
Is there it like what about it being third person just pushes you away?
I don't know. All their stuff feels so samey. Like I feel like at some point, and this is probably my bias, it's just like I really, really liked Assassin's Creed originally. The first like 3 games I thought, or 2 games, were really good. And then when the series became annualized, that's when I thought it kind of went off the rails. But they lost such a focus on the present time story mattering. And I feel like all the ideas or things they had for the present day story became Watch Dogs. So it like feels like and I get it, like you have a game engine, so you need to utilize that as much as you can from a business standpoint. So they build this amazing Assassin's Creed engine. They're like, well, what else can we make within it? And Watch Dogs comes from that process, or Ghost Recon comes from that process, or the Division comes from that process. And I feel like it's all just like these leftovers or things that could have strengthened the overall product of Assassin's Creed that just got spun off into its own thing. And that's just like a lot of the games feel like that to me, where it's just like, oh, we have this cool idea that we want to put in Assassin's Creed. It's just like, oh, let's just make that its own game. Like the Skull and Bones game. They're like, it's just going to be the pirate part of Assassin's 4. Like it just all seems like, I don't know, not that it's not well thought out. It's just like, just made from the wrong materials, I guess.
Okay, interesting. Not fully fleshed out, maybe.
Yeah. And of course, the first Assassins is nowhere near as good as the second Assassins, but the same could be said for, Mass Effect. Like the second Mass Effect is so much better than the first, but just from a systems and a mechanics standpoint, because they know what they're trying to do now. So that iteration does happen with games, but like Watch Dogs Legions is like, I wouldn't play that game. Like if you paid me to play the game, I would, but there's nothing that makes me want to get anywhere near that. Same with the new Assassins, same with any Division content, like any of that. I'm just like, no thanks. I don't know.
Yeah, you're hurting my feelings a little bit on this one. I ride for Assassin's Creed. I do. There was a point where I jumped off. 4 is the jumping off point for me. I didn't play the next, I think, 2 or 3 games. The most recent one that I played was Odyssey, which is the current game. And Odyssey is amazing. I see what you're saying for sure about how they almost just kind of recycle things. And then they keep a lot of stuff at like surface level, right? In the sense that they don't fully develop like mechanics or ideas. I see what you're saying for sure. But
just with Assassin specifically, I feel like the combat has been so unengaging, and it looks like Valhalla is going to change that, but it really has been super samey. And like, like Arkham comes out, so like, oh, let's add a little bit of the Arkham element. So like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel original or unique to the series, and I really miss the future side of it.
They've really gotten weaker. I didn't care at all for like the present day story that was going on in Odyssey, but combat they definitely fleshed out, right? So for Valhalla, which I gotta say, I was super excited before I saw gameplay, and now I'm honestly not that excited. But they took the combat system straight out of Odyssey for Valhalla, so you have like special moves and stuff, and like I think they call it adrenaline meter that you gotta like monitor in Odyssey. But I see what you're saying for sure. Like I played the first Watch Dogs, but not to completion. I had no desire to play 2. I stayed away from Division entirely. So it's interesting how like these massive corporations don't seem, I get it. They're running a business, right? But the games that they're pumping out they don't always feel like they're made by people who love making video games.
Which is crazy to say, because I agree with you. I feel that feeling a lot of the time, because there are 150 people making something. So like when 150 people are touching something, how can you really feel like one person's love and joy came out through it? And not to diminish anything that they're doing, but like, like the coolest thing that I saw with Watch Dogs is that they hid rubber duckies within the game. And like that sounds like a silly thing, but it's just like, not with Watch Dogs, with the Division 2. So it's just like this thing where it's just like, yeah, man, like that's the extent of which Ubisoft will let you be creative. They let you put some rubber duckies in a game. And like that kind of cements how ridiculous the whole conversation is to me about, like it feeling like not just a product, because this is the thing that defines the bottom line in a company being in the black. So they really can't take too many risks. If they really go off the rails, their company could be, losing millions in stock valuation.
Right. And again, like, not to take away from anybody who's put, hours upon hours, like, their livelihood into these games, right? There's certainly enjoyment to get out of them. Like I said, I love Odyssey. Odyssey is a game that I go back to when I'm in between games. Like, that's how much content there is in that game. I've poured like 70 hours into it and I'm still going. Like, I plan on finishing the DLC before the next generation comes out. So there's definitely enjoyment there. But I see what you're saying. I think if you're looking at these games from like an outsider's perspective, like the corporatism that's brought upon by being made by this massive company, definitely is sort of an off-putting type situation.
We might even be a rare case too, because there are some people, like, society-wise, that only play one game a year and they only get the annualized Assassin's Creed every year, and that's the one game they get for the whole year. And they have maybe 4 hours of gaming hour or time every week because they have their family or they have their job or whatever it is. And something familiar does make more sense than for it to be something that's like they changed the art style completely and it's like off the rails. Like, them going from a regular Mario game to a Paper Mario game isn't going to work for them. So Definitely. It does make sense that it does have to be the same engine, the same house that everyone's comfortable and familiar with, and then they just add on their initial or new flavor that they want to add every iteration.
Well, I think we've spent enough time tearing Ubisoft a new one.
Shall
we move on to number 3?
Yeah, what's your 3, bud?
Ooh, my number 3 is actually 3 games, and it's the Dark Souls series, Dark Souls 1 through 3.
Yeah,
because I'm just not going to play them. I'm not going to. I get very invested in what I do, right? Like, if I'm playing, we've talked about this in the past, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 is like my go-to multiplayer game right now. And if I'm doing poorly, it's not a fun time for anybody in the apartment. And by anybody, I mean like my fiance and my 2 cats. She'll get mad at me if I'm like yelling at the TV too much. But I get very invested.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would enjoy these games at all based on what I've seen. Like, it's rolling simulator, right? It's, and that's, of course, that's from an outsider's perspective. I understand why people like these games. It provides a challenge, but it's just not for me.
I'm with you, and this might be an only child's mentality kind of thing, but I just don't like losing at games. It frustrates me. And like, when a game's entire primary mechanic, all these Soulsborne games, is around dying and having to go back and get your stuff, and then the brutal punishment if you can't get back to your body, you lose all your experience and hours of progress. Like, that is a mechanic that just doesn't work for me. And I understand it's like the get good. Like, I totally understand that. But if I can choose my entertainment, I'm going to choose something that's not going to be as punishing as this. And I've seen speedruns of all these games like that you're talking about, and they're impressive. It's really cool what you're doing. I understand the genre, but like, even something like Hollow Knight was tough for me because it had that same mechanic, the Soulsborne mechanics. And I was just like, this is why this sucks. And then of course I'm a little baby, puny, terrible. Like, it sucks to suck. I get it. But like, it's not as fun for me. That one of the main things is dying all the time. Like, we've talked about this a lot. It feels great to be good at games. And like, I feel like I'm good at Mario games. Like, it's just like that thing where like, I'm just going to enjoy them because I know I can freaking platform and flip and do some bullshit.
Definitely. I think you summed it up perfectly. It sucks to suck. I don't want to spend time losing just so that maybe I can lose less later.
Yeah. And I understand there's that satisfaction you can get from getting good at it and like beating a boss you've died on 27 times, but I don't want to waste time dying on a boss 27 times.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, oh man, like, especially if there's a cutscene and you have to keep watching that damn cutscene. I don't know if that's the case for Dark Souls. Like I said, I haven't played them, but yeah, man, they're just not for me. I'm glad we're on the same page about it too.
100% on the same page. Is it time for my number 3?
Let's hear it.
It is Grand Theft Auto Online.
Oh, all right.
and I brought up Red Dead before because I actually don't think that any Rockstar game has controlled well in the history of Rockstar. It like baffles my mind why people love their games so much. Like, they sell more than anything. So I know that I'm wrong. but like I have never felt good about the controls, the HUD, anything in any Rockstar game ever. And that's maybe because there's so much going on, but I'm always just like, why does this control like hot ass? And I can't imagine doing it online for hundreds and thousands of hours. Green Gang, Purple Squad, do not come after me, please. Like, I don't want that heat. I don't want your smoke. I don't want it. Like,
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I played Red Dead 2 pretty recently. It was one of those games I was like, I got to knock this off the list. Absolute masterpiece of a game. I love the world they built. I love the story, but oh my god, I did not enjoy controlling that game. Right? I think we mentioned this on a previous episode, but yeah, I just don't care for. It doesn't feel like they've put anything into improving how it controls either. Right?
yeah, well, and it's this weird thing where like maybe that's the only way you can do it with how much complex stuff is going on. But then like I think even like just getting even smaller, like someone at Rockstar Games gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars to make their mini maps, and I am always confused by their mini maps, and I never know what the hell is going on. And I'm not trying to insult that person specifically. I'm probably just an effing dummy, but it's always just like, what is this? I hate this so much. Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay.
Not Grand Theft Auto Online ever. Me, no time, no chance.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get down on that for sure. I tried playing GTA 5 online when it first came out back on like the 360. Right. I was hype about it. I was like, wow, this looks amazing. And I was very disappointed when I hopped in. Right. Like the game, and it felt like it moved slower. Like the visual fidelity was definitely lower. And of course, it was super broken when it first came out, right? Like people were getting their characters deleted. And also, there was just really not a whole lot of content. I know that they added like a ton of stuff, like bank heists and stuff like that. But I agree. It's just, yeah, not for me either.
Okay, well, we're getting to the more not for usery here on this list. What's your two, pal?
You know what, Elijah? I'm going to get a lot of hate from a lot of people. I think you especially on this one. But
I like the boldness. You're willing to risk it all.
I am just going to say it. I do not care about that goose.
Hey, Brandon, you want to know something?
What's that?
I also do not care about that goose. Not one damn iota.
Okay, cool. I'm glad. In case you're not aware of it, Untitled Goose Game is my number 2. I don't know, man. I just like I don't get it. I really don't.
I think it's that like that same level as like the Life of Toast or the Octodad kind of stuff. It's just like it's that quirky thing that you either get it or you don't, or it strikes your funny bone or it doesn't. And I knew when it did not strike my funny bone when the people at Games Done Quick, like all the chat and all the like the people who announce all the donations had to keep doing the honk noise. I was like, I'm done with this. This is enough. I wish that this never entered into my gaming universe. Like, bravo to them for making a ridiculous game about a goose and making millions of dollars and being very profitable, whether it's their socks or their brand or whatever they're doing with this Untitled Goose Game, and probably a still Untitled Goose sequel or whatever it's going to be. But yeah, I'm with you. Not for me. No thanks. Not going to play it. Totally get it. No thanks.
Yeah, the honking at GDQ was that was ridiculous. I turned that off.
Yeah, you got to mute it. Like, I wish you could mute the chat and just listen to the game.
It's interesting that this is one that you steered away from specifically, because I don't know like the official length or whatever, but I want to say this is like a 4 hour or less like little romp in the park. Like this is a fun little, I can spend a Saturday afternoon doing this game, right?
Yeah, puzzle type. I think with me, and this is like bullshit, like my friends will probably call me hipster stuff, but I do like that art house Annapurna style game where it's like more emotional. It doesn't have to be a game. It could be something like that game One Night Stand or the game Telling Lies that aren't necessarily games, but they're more interactive stories. So I do like that bullshit like that, but Goose Game did not scratch that itch for me. And there's other stuff
Sure.
like there's like stuff like Donut County and other things that are in that vein that people really enjoy. But like, as much as I love bullshit that's weird like Gang Beasts, I could not care about this Goose thing.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad we're on the same page about that. Do you want to tell me your number 2?
It's Monster Hunter. I'm sorry to the people out there. I can't imagine why they'd make a movie about this, but still, like, it's just no. I'm no thanks. I don't want Monster Hunter in my life. I'm just not for me.
Okay, so is this like a series entry here then?
Yeah, any Monster Hunter, all of them, ever.
I really wanted to play World, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, like I think I was having issues with my car, so it was like either fix my car and make it so that I can go to work, or buy Monster Hunter World. And I was like, well, I'm going to be an adult and fix my car. So I feel like it got to a certain point where by the time came that I could afford it, I felt like I had just missed that train, right? Like the dedicated fan base, the people who were going to play with you through this game had already played through it, or they were so far
Yeah.
beyond you that like I just wasn't going to get any enjoyment out of it.
It's this weird thing where like I didn't play Minecraft, but when there was like Dragon Quest version of Minecraft, when it was Dragon Quest Builders, I was like, oh, I want to check that out because it was like ripping off a gameplay that already exists in a franchise that I am familiar with and kind of enjoy. And it's kind of the same thing. Like if they made something that was just exactly the gameplay loop of Monster Hunter, where it's that go into a big open world, partner up with people, fight this monster, farm all of its bones and pieces to make armor and weapons from its materials. Like that's a cool concept. And like if it was Final Fantasy and it's just like, hey, you're gonna go chase a Bahamut rather than a Rathalos or a Shiva or a Ifrit or whatever it is, like I'd probably be more into it. But for whatever reason, like I guess the art style doesn't speak to me. Just the realism mixed with the primalism. I don't know. Like it's been around for a long time and it's been on almost every system that I've been passionate about. And we have a mutual friend that really loves it. And I'm sorry if they're listening to this and I hurt their feelings, but just, I don't know why Monster Hunter just like does not work for me.
Okay. Interesting. I want to take it back just a little bit about that Final Fantasy version of Monster Hunter. Cause, hey, Square Enix, call us. Let's talk about that.
Gonna hunt down a big old cactuar.
Elijah, do you have any final thoughts or words on Monster Hunter?
No, just to tell you something really quick. I saw a picture of a tonberry cutting a cactuar in half, but it was cake on the inside, and they called it a cake tour. And I was just like, "This is damn."
I think you retweeted that one. Yeah, I saw that one.
Everything is cake now. It's so bad.
Always was.
It was. Are you winning, son? I'm cake. Okay, what's your number one, friend?
Oh, Elijah, I am hurting my own feelings right now.
Okay.
And the reason that this is number one is because, God, I hope I get to play it. I really do. I want to play this game so badly, but it is just such an investment. And in the way that I enjoy playing video games, for the most part, we talked about this in the collectible episode, but like I tend to be a bit of a completionist, and sometimes that kind of ruins games for me. And I think this is definitely one of those cases where it would definitely negatively impact my experience with the game. And this game is going to be Witcher 3. Man, I'm super excited for Cyberpunk. I think that's going to be one that I get. Maybe not launch day, just because I'm going to wait to play it until the Series X is out so that it can like run better, But I told myself when Cyberpunk, was getting like, of course it's been pushed out, but like when the release date was starting to approach, I was like, okay, I'm going to play Witcher before I play Cyberpunk, right? Like I want to support this company that I've heard has made amazing games and poured their hearts and souls into, hundreds of hours worth of content for people to enjoy. And that's part of the problem. There's just so much of it, right? Because I would play the DLC, the Blood and Wine DLC, which, if I'm not mistaken, has a map that's bigger than the original map of the game.
Oh my gosh, that scares me.
So this is just like a 200-hour commitment that I want to make, but like I don't know if I can.
Where you're gonna find the time. Yeah, it's so funny because like I've engaged with more of the Witcher show than I've engaged with more of the Witcher game, but I've always known the Witcher and seen the Witcher at cons. I know the cosplays, like I could identify a lot of the characters just by sight, but not having played the games I think is really weird. I actually almost saw it mostly in like tech demos for like how good a new graphics card was. It was like, and look at the Witcher 3 running on this graphics card, and I was just like, oh wow, that is pretty. Look at how HD.
That's the thing too, like I think it's a testament to how good both that game and the series are, right? Like it's a benchmark, it's a benchmark for open worlds and what you can do in an open world game. So little caveat here, like I have played Witcher 3 a little bit, right? I worked at GameStop when it first came out, and one of the perks that we got was you were able to rent games for free. We were only allowed to check them out for 4 days at a time. And like, there had to be certain stock levels, But I played it when it first came out and immediately got sucked into Gwent, and that was like the only thing that I wanted to do. Don't get me wrong, like the rest of I enjoyed stuff outside of Gwent, but man, something about Gwent, I just wanted to play Gwent. But at that time too, again, I just didn't have the 100 hours to really pour into this game to fully appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's a game that is more of an investment that I can definitely do. Yeah, it's definitely something that's weighty, big, and scary. Like it's intimidating. Yeah, like how much content is there? I know it's good. Like people on the internet could not be as positive as they are about CD Projekt Red if it wasn't great.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I'm with you. I echo that. I agree.
Elijah, it's that time again. What's your number one?
You mentioned them before. It's any of the Souls-like games. It's a Bloodborne, it's a Dark Souls, it's a Demon Souls. It doesn't matter what it is. It does whatever it is. I just no thanks, guys. Not me. Never me. Never. Nuh-uh.
Cool.
I can't do it, man. They're so.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Again, maybe I just get too into it and like too emotionally invested. I just don't understand. In from my shoes, I don't think I could enjoy it if no matter how hard I tried. I don't think I would enjoy it.
And yeah, it's that thing where like maybe we are little babies and we need to put on our big boy and big girl pants and like just nut up and do it. But like no, I can't. Like nothing about it appeals to me. And just like when someone's like, it's this hard, like you'll have to like just. I've seen people have like. I've sat on the couch and watched someone like just be frustrated over and over and over again by a new boss that they ran into that didn't make sense. That having to even leave to go get far more experience to go to somewhere else to try something else and maybe to come back to that. Like just
right.
No thanks. Not for me.
Not for me either. I'm glad that we're on the same page about this.
Yeah. I mean, we might have to rename this Little Baby Crycast. And
we might. Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
I think that's definitely what we'll have to do. So I'll get with Project Nerd about rebranding the podcast. But anything else you have to say about just games that are are good, the best games, but you're just like, nah, we're not going to get there? Like,
I'm sorry. I hope I didn't offend anybody. But again, art's subjective, so not everybody's going to enjoy things the same way.
I almost put like Persona on here and like Disgaea and stuff like that, like those kind of anime franchises. But
yeah.
Like it was this thing where like, it's not my fault that like Atlas won't put them on any other platforms. Because if they put Persona 4 Golden or like Persona 5 Royal on Switch tomorrow, I would be buying them and playing them regardless of our input. Because I know how good those games are and I've seen a lot of them. But I do like the Persona games, or like if a Shin Megami Tensei came out again, I would be like balls deep.
Gotcha. So accessibility plays a role into like why you may or may not play a game then?
Yeah, because our mutual friend Andy, he was like, hey, come borrow my copy of The Witcher 3 on Switch. And I was like, well, I could play my Switch at work and just kind of, get some Witcher in. Why not?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. The Switcher.
Yep. Oh, nice. I like that. And with that brings us to the end of the show. I'm Elijah. And, of course, we've been talking to the beautiful Brandon. You could check us out and find us on Twitter at Mr. Snow97 for Brandon and at Mario RPGino for me. Go to projectnerd.com to find all of our content on the web there. They keep the lights on here. We're presented by Game Pitch. Please search for them on YouTube because our YouTube channel now features episodes of Top 4 and more. So you'll be able to find those there. Search on YouTube, Game Pitch Podcast. And of course, we're on Apple, Google, Spotify. If you want to, leave us a review. 5 stars would be totally awesome. Brandon, take us out.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.